Hey guys, so we've been working with getting ready for our test in May, and we've been thinking all about different things we can think about when we're reading fiction text. And so remember, fiction is like when we're learning from our imagination, right? Like it's a story that is made up, but we can still learn things from it, like when Jabari jumps, we learn not to, that's right, give up. So let's think about some more skills that we can use so that those test makers don't trick us because that's what they like to do. It's like some old man is making these tests and he's like, ha ha ha, I can't wait to trick those third graders. And we don't want that old man to trick us. We want to show him up. We want to show him that we have learned all these things and his text questions are not going to trick you. So think about what kind of text we've been reading. Fiction. And what kinds of things have we been thinking about with fiction text? That's right. We've been thinking about the characters. Like, what do we know about the characters? And how is the character changing? That's right. How's the character changing? Um, then we've also been thinking about why is the setting matter in this? Like, what is the setting? And why is it important to this text? And lastly, we've been thinking about the problem and the solution. That's right. And we've been thinking about especially that story mountain, right? Where we start rising and then the problem gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden it stops and the problem starts to get solved and it falls back down, right? So, problem and solution. So, we've been talking about this stuff all year. We've been thinking about characters, we've been thinking about setting, we've been thinking about problem and solution. So, none of this should feel new. It's just sometimes these test makers like to trick us with tricky questions. So, sometimes the test makers actually put the answer to the question right in the text. Did you know that? Hmm. So let's try reading our text. And then we're going to be thinking about the question. So we've already read this multiple times. It's digging for dinos. I'm going to read it one more time. And you are going to listen and follow along in your packet. So, what is the first thing we start with? That's right, directions. Read this story, then answer questions 19 and 23. Do I skip this part right here? No, that's like our back blurb. It's our introduction to our text. While on vacation with his parents and digging for dinosaur fossils, Benny makes a surprising discovery. Young boys are not the only creatures who lose teeth. Digging for Dinos by Charnane Simon. Digging for dinos was hot work. Benny sat back on his heels and took a long drink from his water bottle. At first, when mom and dad had told him they were going on a dinosaur dig for vacation, he'd been excited. He'd bragged to his friends that he'd find the skeleton of a never before discovered dinosaur, the Benosaurus, they'd probably name it. But the real dig wasn't at all what he'd expected. For starters, he wasn't even digging. No shovels, Dave, the paleontologist in charge, told them. Any dinosaur bones buried here should be within a couple of feet of the surface. We don't want to risk clunking around and breaking them. Then he'd handed out ice picks and paintbrushes and showed everyone how to chip and brush away sand and dirt, slowly and carefully, a little bit at a time. The most important thing is knowing where to look, Dave said. Some rocks aren't old enough to have dinosaur bones. Other rocks are too old. We've studied this area before and found lots of fossils, so I'm hopeful you'll find some too. Well, that had been 2 days ago, and so far the most exciting thing Benny had found was that his front tooth was loose. He wiggled it now. If he couldn't find any dinosaur bones, at least he could show his friends back home that he'd lost another tooth. Dave crouched beside Benny. "How's it going?" he asked. "Okay," Benny said. It didn't seem very nice to say he was bored. "This is pretty slow." Dave nodded. "Yep," he agreed. "It's hard work. Sometimes paleontologists and fossil hunters look for weeks without finding anything, and we hardly ever find a whole skeleton." He added, You know, Ben, if you're tired of searching, you can always help someone else on the crew. Benny looked around the dry, rocky hillside. Dave's assistants were busy taking photographs and drawing pictures and making charts. Some were using GPS devices to make maps of the area. Some were writing in notebooks. Dave said it was important to take good field notes to record exactly what you did and where you were when you looked for fossils. Benny thought holding the GPS tool might be fun, but he wasn't giving up. I'll keep looking, he said. But, he added, thinking out loud, the pictures always show dinosaurs in swampy places. Did they live in deserts too? Ah, said Dave. Some probably did, but not around here. Millions of years ago, this wasn't desert. It was wet and green and lush. The earth's changed a lot since the time of the dinosaurs. Dave slapped Benny on the back and got to his feet. Keep up the good work, Ben, he said encouragingly. I think today will be your lucky day. Pick, chip, brush, and sweep. Benny bent over his patch of rocky ground and carefully cleared away the sand and gravel. When he needed a break, he wiggled his loose tooth. The sun climbed higher and hotter into the sky. He was getting into the rhythm of things. Either that or the heat was just making him drowsy. And then it happened. My tooth, Benny said, surprised. He stared down at the dirt. My tooth, Benny whooped. My dinosaur tooth. I found a real live dinosaur tooth. Dave hurried over to look, careful not to disturb the ground in front of Benny's find. Well, I'll be, he said. It's a tooth, all right. What kind is it? Benny asked excitedly. Is it T-Rex? Apatosaurus? Triceratops? Dave laughed, but he kept studying the fossil in the ground. Well, Ben, he finally said, I've seen a lot of dinosaur teeth, but this one's different. I think you may have found one we haven't seen before. Good job. All right. So now we've read the text. So now we've got to do what? That's right. We got to read the question. So the question is, in paragraphs 2 and 3, you learn that paleontologists, A, take people on dinosaur digs, B, look for dinosaur bones, C, take photos, draw pictures, make charts, and keep field notes, or D, look for new creatures. Okay, so this tells me to go where? Do I just need to pick an answer without rereading? Because, I mean, if I was going to pick one right now, I probably would pick C because I remember in the text it was talking about like drawing pictures and making charts. So I'm thinking that's probably the answer. But I wonder though, because I don't know if that was in paragraph 2 and 3. What do y'all think we should do? I agree. I probably should go to paragraph 2 and 3. Like the question literally says in paragraphs 2 and 3. So if I didn't learn that in paragraph 2 and 3, is that the answer? It's not. So we have to find right there answers. So first, we have to read the passage. Did we do that? Check. Then we read the question. Did we do that? Check. Now we have to jump to the right part of the text. This is the part where we have to go to where the text is actually telling us to go. In this question, it said where? That's right. Paragraph 2 and 3. Sometimes it might say a specific part, like it might say in the part where Benny found his tooth. And then you'll know which part to go to. It might not tell you specifically the paragraph, right? But we have to go back and we have to, that's right, reread. And we have to pay attention to that part. And then we have to think of an answer that we looked for. All right, so let's go back. And whoops, sorry, I'm skipping way ahead. Let me move this over here maybe. It's not wanting to go back. Hold on one second, guys. The recording is being silly. All right, so we're going to go back. And we're going to look for paragraph 2 and 3 to answer that question. All right. But the real dig wasn't at all what he'd expected. For starters, he wasn't even digging. No shovels, Dave, the paleontologist in charge, told them. Any dinosaur bones buried here should be within a couple of feet of the surface. We don't want to risk clunking around and breaking them. Then he'd handed out ice picks and paintbrushes and showed everyone how to chip and brush away sand and dirt slowly and carefully, a little bit at a time. The most important thing is knowing where to look, Dave said. Some rocks aren't old enough to have dinosaur bones. Other rocks are too old. We've studied this area before and found lots of fossils, so I'm hopeful that you'll find some too. All right, so when I'm thinking about that question now, I'm trying to get to it again. This thing is being crazy. Look at it moving all around. It's being crazy. All right, stop it. There we go. All right, let's go back to our question. It said in paragraphs 2 and 3, you learn that paleontologists take people on dinosaur digs. I mean, kind of. They're on a dinosaur dig, but does that seem like the only thing they do? I agree. I don't think so. I don't think that's the best answer. B, look for dinosaur bones. Well, yeah. Did they look for dinosaur? Do paleontologists look for dinosaur bones? Yeah, they do. And that was what it was describing in the text, right? Like they were talking about like how they brush, they use paintbrushes and they chip and all of that. So I'm thinking probably B, look for dinosaur bones. But let me read the rest of the question and make sure. Take photos, draw pictures, make charts, and keep field notes. Well, that was in the story, but was that in paragraph 2 and 3? No. So is that the right answer? No, because the question literally says in paragraphs 2 and 3. So I can't, C's not right either. D, look for new creatures. Oh, well, they're not looking for new creatures, are they? No, that seems kind of weird. So which one is it? That's right. It's B. They're looking for dinosaur bones. So B is the most right answer. All right, so we practice this by reading the passage, reading the question, jumping to the right part of the text, and then we went backwards. And then we thought of an answer and we looked for it. So I want you now to read this question. It's based on paragraph 13. What did Benny find? So I want you to go, it says based on paragraph 13. So are you going to think about anything else? No, you're going to go where? That's right, to paragraph 13. So go ahead and go right now to paragraph 13. What does he find according to or based on paragraph 13? Did he find his tooth? Did he find a dinosaur tooth? Did he find a dinosaur bone? Or did he find money? All right. So you should be rereading paragraph 13. And let's go take a quick look at it together. My tooth, Benny whooped. My dinosaur tooth. I found a real live dinosaur tooth. Huh. So why do we think, let's see, did he find his tooth? Did he find a dinosaur tooth? Did he find a dinosaur bone? Or did he find money? Well, which two do we automatically know were not it? Yeah, C and D. He didn't find a dinosaur bone, and he definitely didn't find money. So based only on paragraph 13, what did Benny find? Well, he yells out, my tooth, my dinosaur tooth. So what do you think? I'm thinking A too. I'm thinking Benny found his tooth. Yeah, he found his tooth, a tooth from his mouth. That's what I'm thinking. So when you're reading today, make sure that you're reading the passage always, every time, and make sure that you're reading the question always, every time. Then go to the part of the text that it tells you to go to. Reread Pay attention and think of an answer and look for it. Have fun. Make sure you're reading today.